I am Jason, a timid and introverted teenager, always finding solace in the pages of my books. My parents had planned a weekend getaway, leaving me home alone in our old, creaky house nestled in the woods. It was a quaint place, surrounded by towering trees that whispered secrets in the wind and cast eerie shadows upon the moonlit ground. As the sun dipped below the horizon on the first evening, an unsettling feeling settled in my chest. I tried to shake it off, blaming it on my overactive imagination fueled by the horror stories I love to read. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't escape the feeling that something wasn't right. Alone in the dimly lit house, I decided to distract myself by watching a movie. The flickering light from the TV played tricks on the walls, making them seem like they were moving. I tried to focus on the movie, but every now and then I thought I heard whispers echoing through the halls. Chills ran down my spine and I chalked it up to the wind outside. Midnight approached and I decided it was time to turn in. I climbed into bed, pulling the covers up to my chin, attempting to block out the unsettling sounds that seemed to have grown louder. Just as I was about to drift into sleep, a faint scratching sound reached my ears. I dismissed it as a raccoon outside, but when the scratching continued and seemed to move closer, my heart began to race. I reached for my phone, intending to call my parents, but my fingers froze when I saw that there was no signal. Panic gripped me as the scratching intensified, seeming to come from just outside my bedroom door. I mustered the courage to slowly creep out of bed and approach the door, my hand trembling as I turned the doorknob. I peered into the dimly lit hallway, heart pounding in my chest. The scratching was louder now, and my breath caught in my throat as I saw the source. A trail of muddy footprints led from the front door through the hallway and disappeared into the darkness of the living room. My mind raced, and I felt a surge of adrenaline as I realized that someone or something had entered the house. Fear gnawed at my insides, but I knew I had to do something. Clutching a baseball bat tightly, I cautiously followed the footprints, my footsteps echoing through the silent house. The living room was eerily still, the shadows dancing ominously in the corners. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I noticed the front door slightly ajar, a chilling gust of wind brushing against my cheek. I pushed the door open wider, revealing the moonlit forest beyond. My heart raced as I realized that the footprints led outside, disappearing into the woods. The fear in me intensified, but a surge of determination overtook it. I couldn't let this fear control me. Gritting my teeth, I stepped outside, my breath visible in the chilly night air. The forest was alive with eerie sounds, rustling leaves, and distant hoots of owls. Following the footprints, I walked deeper into the woods, the trees seeming to close in around me, their branches twisted and contorted, casting long, sinister shadows. After what felt like an eternity, the footprints led me to a small clearing. In the center stood a dilapidated cabin, its windows shattered and its wooden walls sagging under the weight of time. A guttural growl echoed from within, sending shivers down my spine. I raised the baseball bat, my knuckles white with tension, and pushed the cabin door open. The interior was pitch black, save for a dim, flickering candle in the corner. The air was heavy with a nauseating smell, and my heart pounded in my ears. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, they fell upon a grotesque sight. A figure hunched over a makeshift table, its back turned to me. It was muttering incoherent words, its hands moving frantically over a collection of bones and trinkets. "Who are you?" I stammered, my voice barely audible. The figure stiffened and slowly turned to face me. Its eyes gleamed with a malevolent intensity, and a wicked grin spread across its pallid face. "You should not have come here," it hissed, its voice a chilling whisper that sent shivers down my spine. With a guttural snarl, the figure lunged at me, and a desperate struggle ensued. Adrenaline coursing through my veins, I swung the baseball bat with all my might, the metallic clang of impact echoing through the cabin. The figure let out an unearthly howl of pain, collapsing to the ground. As I caught my breath, I realized that the nightmare wasn't over. The cabin seemed to tremble around me, and a chorus of whispers filled the air. Shadows danced and twisted, and I felt an otherworldly presence enveloping me. With a burst of determination, I fled the cabin, the forest seeming to blur around me as I sprinted back toward my house. Gasping for breath, I burst through the front door, slamming it shut behind me. I collapsed onto the floor, my heart still racing, and the house fell eerily silent once more. The rest of the night was a blur of terror and exhaustion, the fear of the unknown lingering in every corner. When the morning sun finally painted the sky with hues of gold, I ventured outside, half expecting the horrors of the previous night to be gone. But as I approached the cabin, I found only a decaying husk, the malevolent presence that once inhabited it now gone. I never spoke a word of that night to anyone, fearing that they would dismiss it as a product of my imagination. But the memory of those chilling whispers, the sinister figure, and the cabin in the woods would forever haunt my dreams, and I would always wonder if the horrors I had encountered were a mere manifestation of my imagination or something far more sinister that still lurked in the depths of the forest, waiting for its next victim. I am alone at home, and the night has settled in with an eerie stillness. The familiar creaks and groans of the old house seem to have taken on a sinister tone, sending shivers down my spine. I try to shake off the unease, blaming it on my overactive imagination, but something about the atmosphere tonight feels different, charged with an inexplicable tension. As I sit on the couch in the dimly lit living room, the soft glow of the lamp casting elongated shadows across the walls, I can't help but feel like I'm being watched. I tell myself it's just the trick of the light, but every now and then I catch a fleeting movement out of the corner of my eye. My heart races, and I instinctively pull my blanket tighter around me, seeking comfort in its warmth. I decide to distract myself by turning on the television. The familiar chatter of the late-night news anchors provides a semblance of company, but even their cheerful banter fails to dispel the feeling of isolation that has settled over me. I glance at the clock. It's well past midnight, and the world outside is cloaked in darkness. Suddenly, a loud thud echoes from upstairs, causing me to jump in my seat. My gaze shoots towards the ceiling, my ears straining to catch any further sounds. For a moment, there's nothing but silence. I try to convince myself that it's just the house settling, but the rationalization does little to ease my nerves. Summoning all my courage, I stand up and slowly make my way to the foot of the staircase. The wooden steps feel cold and unforgiving beneath my feet as I ascend, each one creaking beneath my weight. The air grows colder as I reach the landing, and a chill runs down my spine. I cast a nervous glance down the dark hallway, my heart pounding in my chest. As I walk cautiously down the corridor, the floorboards continue to protest beneath me. The doors to the various rooms stand closed, their outlines barely visible in the dim light. I reach for the nearest doorknob and turn it slowly, the door creaking open to reveal an empty guest room. I let out a sigh of relief and step inside, hoping to calm my racing heart. Just as I begin to convince myself that everything is fine, a faint whisper of a voice tickles my ears. My breath catches in my throat as I strain to make out the words. It's indistinct, like a half-formed murmur carried by the wind. Panic surges through me, and I back out of the room, my eyes darting around in search of the source. The whisper grows louder, seeming to come from all directions at once. I stumble backward, my heart pounding in my chest. In my frantic state, I reach for the nearest door and fling it open, only to be met with an empty closet. I feel a cold sweat forming on my brow as I slam the door shut, my mind racing to comprehend the inexplicable. I continue down the hallway, my footsteps shaky and uncertain. The whispers persist, intertwining with my thoughts, and I struggle to maintain my grip on reality. The air feels heavy, laden with a malevolent energy that seems to be closing in around me. I reach the end of the corridor, and my eyes widen in terror as I spot the partially open door to the attic. A draft of icy wind wafts down from the attic, carrying with it the chilling scent of decay. The whispers have grown louder, almost frantic now, urging me to ascend the stairs. My heart races as I hesitantly approach the entrance, my fingers brushing against the rough wood of the door. With a trembling hand, I push it open, revealing a yawning darkness beyond. As I step into the attic, a wave of nauseating dread washes over me. The air is thick with an otherworldly presence, and my senses are overwhelmed by a cacophony of whispers that seem to echo within my very soul. I stumble forward, my vision swimming as I try to make sense of the surreal scene before me. In the dim light filtering through a dusty window, I see flickering shadows that dance along the walls, their forms twisting and contorting in grotesque shapes. The whispers crescendo into a maddening chorus, a chorus of voices that seem to emanate from the very walls themselves. My head throbs with pain as I struggle to block out the tormenting sounds. And then, from the midst of the shadows, a figure materializes, a spectral silhouette with hollow eyes that fixate on me with an unnerving intensity. Its voice, a haunting blend of the whispers, cuts through the cacophony, addressing me with words that send a jolt of terror through my veins. "Alone you are not," it rasps, its words dripping with malevolence. "Here, you belong to us." I try to retreat, to flee from the nightmarish apparition, but my legs betray me, rooted to the spot. The room spins around me and a surge of darkness engulfs my consciousness. I wake up with a start, drenched in sweat, my heart still pounding from the vivid nightmare. The first light of dawn filters through the windows, casting a warm glow that banishes the shadows of the night. As I catch my breath and take in my surroundings, I realize that I am indeed alone at home, the horrors of the night having been confined to the realm of dreams. But as I sit up, a shiver runs down my spine, for something in the air feels off, a lingering sense of unease that refuses to dissipate. And as I glance toward the attic door, I can't help but wonder if the boundary between dreams and reality is not as clear as I once believed.